Well, good morning, everyone. This is Chris May of Australia here at the 2016 Causeway Scrabble Challenge, coming at you from the Berjaya International Hotel in Johor Bahru, Malaysia, just a stone's throw from the Causeway into Singapore. We are about to watch the first game of day 5 of this tournament, the final day, and it's going to be a game between the two top players rated in the field and in the world. That's Nigel Richards of New Zealand and my countryman David Eldar of Australia. I'm joined here in the commentary booth by Jesse Matthews of Canada. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning. Looking forward to a treat between these two players. They're going to play, I would say, a minimum of 3 times, if not, well, probably not all 6. It depends on how they do, but I would say a minimum of 3 times today.
More than likely.
So doing a little bit of maths, I believe it is 23 wins. Mathematically is the highest number of wins where you could possibly make a perfect run and overtake to get the lead. It's unlikely, but I believe that is where it cuts off. The more realistic, of course, is the top 5 in terms of players who could still potentially win this title. That would naturally require Nigel and David to exchange 3 games apiece, and then someone to overtake on spread. For those who are just 1 or 2 games off, then they can even possibly leapfrog without the spread. Meanwhile, it's these two who are on top of the leaderboard getting ready to start.
And so, of course, you can follow the standings, excuse me, follow the standings of this tournament at causewaychallenge.com, clicking through to results. We're, of course, watching the Premier Division here. Really deep field, 46 player field, and many of the top players in the world from countries all over the world have shown up at this event. And by all means, click through there to see the very detailed standings. We'll run you through the situation at the top of the leaderboard quickly now. These two are the only players who've managed 26 wins in the first 39 rounds. They also have a little bit of a spread margin over their competitors. Dave has a lead over Nigel of about 400, and then it's another 300 back to Alistair Richards. So a healthy little margin there. 1 game back from them is the UK's Harshan Lamabadasuria. He has 25 wins and is currently starting his game on table 2 against Australia's Alistair Richards, top of the 24s with a spread of 1,040. Joining him on 24 is Esther Perrins, and she will be playing Andrew Fisher of Australia on board 3. He has 23 wins. So 4 Aussies in the top 6, Jesse. We've made a charge in the 4th day. Nice to see.
Yeah.
All of these players can still win the title, mathematically, we think, as can the 2 players who are facing off on board 4. That's Irinde Saidu of Nigeria and Tachakuarat of Thailand. They have 23 wins as well, although 3 games off the pace and a significant margin deficit, it would take a pretty favourable set of results for either of those 2 to climb to the top of the leaderboard.
And then, of course, rounding out the 23s is Mark Nyman, but he has a nearly negative 500 spread, so mathematically it is about 99% chance that he is not going to take the title. It would take huge wins every single game.
Rough day for him yesterday. After those series of beats with Dave, he did not really have a good afternoon either.
Yeah, so then talking through the realistic scenarios here, since David and Nigel are likely playing at least 3 times, Harshan's going to be looking to capitalize on these first few games to build spread. He's at plus more or less 600, so he needs to recover about 1,000 spread points on the day, so he needs to win big. But he does have the win cushion over the rest of the competitors below, so winning big and just winning. And
of course we can't forecast too far ahead because there are too many unpredictable games to call and too many players in contention.
Yeah.
But we do know that these 2 players that we're currently watching are going to be playing twice at the front of the day.
Yeah.
And if they split those games, then Harshan can catch them on wins.
Yep.
And another couple of players can move within 1 win of the pace, and that will be within 4 rounds to go. So this is a wide open tournament.
Yeah.
Very exciting, and I hope you're all enjoying it.
It looks like David Eldar started off with a nice bonus play of Ainsell.
I think Nigel changed.
Yeah, Nigel must have exchanged.
Yeah.
We did not see, unfortunately. Sorry, guys.
But Nigel's got the bingos. They got the tiles for a comeback bingo, so it can be a nice open board for these 2. We need to let you guys know who are watching the feed that every game this morning will be King of the Hill. That means that there's going to be no lagged pairing at all. Pairings are going to be freshly done after every game, and it will always be the players in 1st and 2nd position who you see on the top board today. That may mean that there's a little bit of extra time between games, but we think that's going to be counteracted by Michael Tang's anxiety to see all the players off to the airport in good time.
Yeah.
So let's hope that there aren't going to be too many delays between the rounds, and I think everyone can agree that in a tournament this close it's appropriate to do fresh pairings at each round at this stage. Michael
Wasted no time in starting many boxes in the room for players who were still at breakfast, and rightfully so. So Nigel with choices like legatine, gelatine, and the like.
Antigene.
Antigene, yeah, that is also there. It looks like he may have gone for galanite in the end.
And not a bad follow-up rack for Dave. There's plenty of flexibility, plenty of possibilities for investing in future turns with this kind of rack, especially on a board with a bunch of floating bingo tiles. Expect him to address the P and the duplicate R and probably keep a bingo core, I'd say. Something like ADRT looks good as a leave, if you can find somewhere good to play off rip. Or he may decide to play something a bit more turnovery. Not sure that there's going to be a non-bingo double-double through either of those two eyes, but five-tile play not out of the question here, if you can find something good for rapid, say.
Meanwhile, Nigel has out Dream, and looks like Lewis Mackay has spotted the same. That'll be a nice scoring play for Nigel.
Yep. And you can bet David Eldar is a tired man after those games against Nigel last night. Not sure, haven't caught up with him this morning, so I'm not sure how he slept. But he was absolutely knackered by the last game yesterday, and we saw it in his play. It did fall off a bit. Missed a couple of bingos outright that he wouldn't normally miss.
I saw him with 2 cups of coffee this morning.
Only 2? Wow, he's cutting down.
He may have had some more before that, I don't know. But he had 2 coffee cups with him at breakfast, and his hand was shaking as he was carrying the cream as well. So classic jitters.
And I don't know how many of you guys out on the field, out on the stream, have ever had the privilege of playing Nigel not only once but in a series of games in a tournament. It's happened to me once in the Philippines. I played three straight, lost all 3. I was so exhausted and just felt like I was nothing as a Scrabble player at the end, you know.
Yeah, it's really hard to...
You become so conscious of your own limitations against Nigel because of the pressure that you're feeling to make the very, very best play against him, because you feel like it's your only chance. But as we've said, these two are by no means the only 2 players that can win this tournament. If they keep grinding each other down, someone could very well leapfrog them. Nigel Richards is in 4th place. We haven't seen him once on table 1, but he's well in contention for the title.
Yeah. Yeah, the one time he was up there super early against Esther Perrins.
You're right, he did get a game in round 2 up on the top board. And for anyone watching who may have missed the games yesterday between these two, we think that the round 38 clash between Nigel and David was among the best games of Scrabble we've ever seen. I certainly think it was one of the most absorbing and exciting I've ever seen, and it was a real pleasure to call it live. So have a look at that one. Not sure if there's a Quackle file up on the internet anywhere, but there'll certainly be an archived YouTube video if you want to watch it in real time.
Okay, if not up already, they will be up in short order. So Nigel's got out cream, duplicate T and galanite on this turn. And
Dave did decide that there were no good 3-tile balancing plays. He's gone for the 5-tile play, keeping TR and bingo lines in all quadrants here. Nigel's been given the R though, so a little bit of a better bingo than out dream maybe. Well, he goes for the higher scoring option instead of playing armoured. Without actually having added the 2 plays up, I think I probably would have gone for Ahmed there, but Nigel thinks that the board is so amenable to scoring, presumably that Outdream really doesn't affect things that much and the points are worth it. Kenji on the chat is saying that he has analysed that round 38 game. He says the good news is both players made errors. Well, that'll be some comfort for everybody else. Kenji, I think we'd all love to see a detailed analysis posted of that, so do let us know if you're planning to write it up. I'd read it with great interest.
There's your invitation, yeah.
And what a pick for Nigel. Hacker blank. There's points galore with that. I don't dare to look to see if there's something great with the M. Kenji says he'll make a video. Excellent. So the early advantage here very much with Nigel Richards. 2 bingos on the trot and a huge pickup of Hacker blank. Meanwhile, Dave, drawing to RT, picked up a shocker, BFTTU. He's facing a 57-point deficit already on a board that is not helpful to his rack. So we can expect to see Nigel going up a commanding lead here, and Dave is going to be playing catch-up.
Colin, the virtuosi miss is actually on David Eldar's end.
And that was game 39, so not the game that we're talking about. We're looking at game 38 here. We probably should stop talking about it. But it was such a brilliant game. And, you know, for anyone who's watching this feed wondering how they can make their game better, well,
that's one to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, don't watch 20 games, just spend 20 hours watching that one game and thinking about it.
Yeah. There's so much to take out of it, for sure. So as was pointed out earlier, David's rack is a foobar, and he has foobar as an option.
Keeping 3 Ts, he obviously won't like that. And he may even feel like something like butter is a better option in terms of medium-term rack management. It's a little bit ugly, I don't really like it much myself. Tufter, also an option.
I think I'd probably keep FT over BT when considering the two. Not sure what the exact super leaves are, but instinctively I feel like F and T go better together slightly.
I suspect you're probably right, but something's instinctively telling me to keep BT here.
Okay. So, Tuft.
Dave going for the most synergistic leave that he could manage there with any plausible play, and of course with only 1 S down on the board, keeping that 15 row live for bingos, but Nigel has many high scoring options here, not least of which is the very obvious Hackers and Tufts. And that's a reasonable enough default play. He might have a double-double. But there certainly are 8s with that I. For example, Kacheris. But I think you're right, Jesse. Nothing quite fits the double-double. And then there's the triple-triple. Something like a mark word or similar. And I've just scissored it to satisfy myself whether or not he can, but I'll leave that one hanging for the viewers just in case they'd like to keep looking.
Yeah, it looks like Hackers is the play to go with.
Well, keep it simple, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. No need to show off. If it's the best move, it's the best move.
Points are good.
And so huge bingo for Nigel, and Dave goes straight away. He's got Brunting by the looks of it, so that's a really lucky pickup to keep him in the game. You know, he didn't play for that. He drew both the N and the G.
Well, they do say you got to be good to be lucky, and in this game, while there is a luck factor, there is also a shaping your position as well as possible to get lucky. So.
Absolutely, yeah. He kept a flexible leave and got the draw draw he needed. You know, it wasn't a very good draw, NNG, but
No, it worked.
it worked.
Ooh, and
Worked with the
Nigel
position.
picked the other blank.
Oh, wow. So Nigel drawing like a dream this morning. 3 bingos on the trot, including a huge play of hackers, and the second blank in hand, with a board that you're not going to be fully comfortable defending 68 points on, but with the second blank in hand, things become a lot happier. Dave's going to need to make quite a lot with those scoring tiles he's drawn in order to stay in touch here, because we can probably expect to see Nigel bingoing within 2 turns, unless he gets a very poor draw. If not 1 turn, I mean.
I think you'd probably have to use 2 O's and a V if you want to get to bonus in 1 turn. I'm not seeing an obvious way to do that. But yes,
I guess you could play Omovs.
Yeah, there's that.
You could do a lot worse.
And Lewis Mackay points out close to Wurskott.
I mean, Omovs looks like a really quite good play to me. You know, the S isn't super valuable here. Brunting doesn't take the hook. Nigel may have something even more defensive on his mind, or he might want to keep the S. I'd forgotten Moho just came in, didn't it? So that's also available. And Nigel's decided to play a territorial move instead. He's just occupying space on the board there more than anything else. Playing the H, keeping back the V, so he can use that to defend on future turns as well. It's obviously a less good leave on paper than OSH blank, but as the leading player, that V has its own value. And if I'm not mistaken, Nigel has drawn Vigoroso in 2 places.
Wow. Yeah, the higher scoring of the 2 is at 4A.
Also the more volatile. But then Vigoroso doesn't really do much to the board in the low scoring play, so Nigel may play without fear and open the triple-triple, given that it's a blankless game.
And if you triple-triple to a V in that position, I say kudos, you deserve it. I think personally the only time I would likely be a little bit worried, again depending on the bag, with a V is perhaps in the second to last position on a triple-triple line, but beyond that you're probably okay.
Dave playing again. I expect he's looking at Wiz at M3. And indeed he is, so it keeps him within 50 with a WALD, which, you know, has a chance of maturing nicely. The board is starting to get a little crowded. There are bingo lines, of course, but with judiciously placed words from Nigel, these could suddenly disappear quite rapidly over the next couple of turns. Nigel has to decide whether to play his bingo. I think he will. Kenji's saying this is close. I assume he's talking about the choice between Nigel's 2 Vigoroso options. Is that right, Kenji? And I would agree with the comment that he's just typed. I don't think it's mandatory either way. I think the classical line is to just take the points on this turn and not worry too much about the V. And indeed, that's exactly what Nigel's doing. So these 2 guys are going fast this morning, and we're struggling to keep up in the commentary. Although luckily the positional considerations haven't been so subtle that we've really had to think through any of the turns.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of expressive body language from David Eldar, shake of the head, a little bit of a shrug.
Well, I mean, and that's actually fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, 2 blanks, 4, you know, extremely easy bingos. Well, Vigoroso maybe not extremely easy, but for these guys, very standard.
Yeah. Nigel's already extremely good. He doesn't need all that help to be a favourite, and this just makes it even more so.
And you can see what Vigoroso does. If you take the triple-triple out of the equation, it actually is a very blocky play in terms of bingos. It knocks out that H column, that G column. They were wonderful bingo lines. Knocks out some of the floaters from Brunting, and only replaces them with that single I. And should, you know, once that V and I gets taken or perpendicularly played through, then the left-hand side of the board is almost going to be completely immobilizable for bingos. right? So Vigoroso has like quite a bit of defensive value when Nigel played it. Dave only gets that one shot at the 9-timer. However, the position is slightly complicated by the fact that there was already a 9-timer open on the other side of the board. So Dave here can choose to keep them both open, and that would be a sound strategy at 130 points behind.
Yeah, and then as Lewis Mackay notes, Vigoroso also somewhat limits the name cell hook.
Yeah, thanks Lewis. Yeah. I just overlooked that one. So I don't know what you guys on the chat think, let us know, but for my money I'd be thinking, if I was Dave, I'd want to keep something like DIE on my rack and play for a triple in one of the two lines.
Well, there's amide words and other such things, so perhaps. And
Lewis suggests a nice creative play, ALEW, using exactly those 4 tiles that I was suggesting, and whackers. And that is indeed a nice play. I wonder if the A8 to A12 counterplay it gives Nigel might just be a bit crippling, and it would be likely to outrun even a triple through the M, as well as blocking the one through the V. So maybe Dave would be looking to play his ALEW elsewhere.
Yeah, and as Puneet notes, I was just about to say, once Chris finished, Jersey would come back after a Lou, which would be a devastating play. He's already got Enjoy through the O and Vigoroso as it is, so Nigel's scoring high this turn no matter what.
Yeah, what a nice series of tiles for Nigel Richards.
Kenji points out that at J1 to create a third triple line is a reasonable choice.
Can't argue with that. So everyone in the chat's basically got the same idea. Leave both 9-timer lines open and leave some kind of bingo core involving D, E and one more vowel, either a 3 or 4 tile leave. Well, we'll see if Dave sees it the same. He'd be looking hard at the pool, trying to work out what his best chances of a triple are. And if he thinks that there are specific words that he'd be wise to play for, we may see him play for a very specific kind of leave. It's the kind of position where you might just somehow suddenly be surprised that there are tons with the W that you hadn't really expected, because it's not what your normal heuristics would tell you. I mean, I doubt that's the case here, but it's not inconceivable. He'd be looking to see, for example, if an ADEEIL leave allowed a 1-tile fish that drew to a triple with quite a few draws. Again, looks a little bit unlikely. The V and the M are not the most helpful. And that's going to hamper him a little bit.
As Noeen points out, Dave is quite close to rebuild on his rack.
Hope you guys are going to stay with us all day. Only 6 rounds, so it shouldn't be too late a finish for the Americans this time.
Yeah, a little easier for us too. It's been a marathon doing 9, 10, 10, and 10 games respectively.
I've been absolutely exhausted by the game 10 each time. But I did pick up last night for the commentators match, which was just as important as the Causeway Challenge in the after hours room. Jesse Matthews and I played 3 speed games, and I'm happy to report that my comeback games after 2 years, I walked out the winner 2-1.
You did?
I think I did get the better of the letters though. And here's one for all Dave Wiegand appreciators. In my very first game back face-to-face Scrabble after 2 full years away, I had the pleasure of being kibitzed by Wiegand. On the 4th turn, he pointed out that I missed a 10-letter bingo of cerecloths, CERECLOTHS. So how's that for dispiriting?
Yeah, the way he said it too, when he came by the table with kind of a laugh and a big smile, which from Dave, is not something you see all too often. As he's like, "Oh, you missed a 10," facetiously. It was very clear. And then that's when he mentioned what the word was. It was impressive find.
It was stunning find, yeah. Enough to send a bloke right back into retirement, though.
You mean you're just going to retire after giving up on me? Is that what happened? Jackson asked an interesting question. Go for this one.
He asks, Chris, why have you stopped playing Scrabble? Jackson, it was a little bit complicated. It was mainly I had stopped enjoying playing because of the pressure I was putting on myself to play well. I actually retired when I was more or less at the top of my game. I was getting more success in tournaments than I ever had in the past, but every time I turned up to a tournament, it felt like it was an opportunity just to fail and not to live up to the standards I was setting myself. Whereas earlier on in my tournament life, when I wasn't doing nearly so well, I felt like tournaments were opportunities to have fun and to succeed. And I just felt like I needed some time away until I felt I could get that back, that real pure enjoyment, rather than sort of more neurotic headspace that I'd found myself in over 2013 and 2014. And I've enjoyed the 2 years away. I haven't missed it all that much, and I'm now, having just finished my doctorate, I'm now thinking about the comeback without having committed either way yet. So Dave makes an interesting choice there of Dew in the end. I guess he likes that 7 alley from A8, and that was an alley that had been suggested in the chat, and I can't really blame him, given that there's still well and truly time to get a double bingo down here.
He's got Illyria as a pick. Nigel's got the Enjoy play clearly, but he's going to start doing some range finding to see whether he plays that. Aaron Bader in the chat asks Chris May, the doctorate in what?
The doctorate is in musicology, Aaron. Kenji notes 2 bingos probably won't even win. Probably true. But if triples are still on, Nigel may have to sacrifice points, and Dave could at least, say, take it to an end game. Of course, this all requires him to draw very well, and probably for Nigel not to have the tiles that he actually has right now.
So he's playing Jeans, keeping E-R-Y. Taking out the easier of the triple options, it looks like, while scoring well.
And Dave's going to have to take out his only other 9-timer option. Oh no, he isn't, because he can play Illyria down the O column. Well, I wonder about that, guys.
Might be playing a little faster.
Dave takes out... Well, we had the Quackle input down the A column. It's been removed, so maybe it was the Quackle operator that was a bit fast there. I would have thought the logical move was to play down the O column with that rack, and I'm not sure what you guys think in the chat. Let us know. Noeen also points out that Dave needs to be mindful not only of the game in hand, but of the tournament spread situation. He would love to maintain his spread lead over Nigel Richards, and unsuccessful fishes here could turn that spread lead around right now if they go wrong.
So we're still just waiting to see what David actually played. If we get a shot of the board, please, since it seems like our Quackle operator is not putting the move in.
I wonder if he slapped the tiles down on the A column and then only noticed that he had it in the O column.
Oh, it's still his turn. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. I think, well, to my mind, that's comfortably the better positional choice.
Yeah.
And Nigel's drawn poorly here.
But he has the X. So poorly, but still keeping one of those counting tiles that Dave would like to see to score on his way back.
Yeah, and I suppose Nigel will be looking to occupy the A7 square ideally on this turn. He might even think that any move that occupies the A7 square is better than any move that doesn't. So I've seen exactly one so far that does, which is very. But Nigel also may think that an outrunning strategy is more appropriate here, and that he's going to ensure himself the lead flexibility to execute that. From Nigel's point of view, the Q is in the bag, but he holds the case used, so no risk of a big Q bingo, and that will be very much a relief to him. Otherwise, there aren't all that many huge scoring bingos that Dave could have, in the sense of obvious tiles for such players like K or H that could go down at A12. Those tiles are not in the pool for Nigel. So he's really in quite good shape here. And that may push him towards an outrunning strategy. He's got to just be aware of that L8 bingo line, still live on the right-hand side of the board, just in case Dave can keep within sight of an outplay bingo. And then there's still that name cell line on the C column that accepts a 7-letter bingo, and even potentially a high-scoring one down to C13 with the case N. That tile is in the pool, so it's unseen to Nigel, and he needs to factor that in as well.
Choosing to leave it wide open and go for points with Mixo, leaving U-R-E.
Yeah, and I think that tells you that Nigel's very confident of defending a 100-point lead with the pool the way it is, and doesn't think that there's much risk of a triple-triple either.
Well, especially drawing blind after Illyria, no inferences.
That play of Nigel's also stops Dave from opening another 9-timer. And that's true. That's possibly an important positional consideration.
Next turn, Nigel has options like Voyeur from the V and Vigoroso.
Oh, and that'll sort the game right out. Yeah.
Even though it leaves a dreadful UV combo, he doesn't care because that'll do exactly what he needs to do, which is take out the last huge looming threat.
So if you're David Eldar right now, you have to try and find a plan to win the game still. I think with the triple-triple still live, don't think you'll be giving up on this turn. But finding any kind of plausible winning strategy from here is really not easy, given that the only two hot bingo lines overlap with one another, which is never ideal. That's A1 to A8 and A8 A14. He knows very well that Nigel can block both in a stroke by occupying A7 or similar.
And Fee was one I had thought of as well, to go for one last-ditch effort. Kenji thinks you just give up and play Veggie. Nigel's probably going to play Voyeur here, and that will be that.
That's certainly the standout classical line. And I certainly think that the unseen pool is very much bingo enough from Nigel's point of view that he isn't going to be tempted to play for spread and leave the line or anything insane like that. But how many times has Nigel surprised us already? I think everyone watching the chat would play Voyeur unless there's an even better equivalent play.
Yeah. And as Zev pointed out, Vouvray is close, but there's no A on that rack. Looks like a few of our chat participants are about a minute or two behind, giving suggestions they're typing, so see if you can refresh and get up to speed.
Yeah, and of course Dave wouldn't have loved keeping the P back with the V floating. Those two tiles don't really do a whole lot with one another. Lewis is typing in Vogie, but that requires Nigel to have an G, does it not?
The G through Vigoroso, I believe.
Oh, right.
And with Eldar's pick of what he just picked, that's GG.
So.
Yeah, Lewis, I think Voyeur is just a little bit higher priority, given that it does the board control that you need at this point. The one long shot way to lose is a triple-triple, so.
And there are certainly triple-triples that are in the pool. I've spotted a few just on a quick glance that Dave could have.
Marlon Hill is of agreement that Voyeur should been an immediate play, more or less.
But as Jason observed a couple of days back in the chat, positions where Nigel leads big are positions where he sometimes does do surprising things. So let's not bank it until he plays it.
And it looks like our camera angle there is upside down for some reason, guys. Not sure what's happening there.
Pretty
Sorry.
awesome. So David's strategy has been greatly simplified by that draw. He doesn't really need to think much about what to do. He's going to either play QI or QIN, and he'll only play the N if the endgame timing favours it. And he has at least one space to play that Q that doesn't really affect significant bingo lines. Nigel Richards is putting tiles on the board.
Interesting. He is not going for the triple block. Dive hour is a nice play that clears off the rack, but I guess he's decided that with the U's in hand.
I guess Nigel is paranoid there about the leave of Voyeur. Playing off the same number of tiles, so the endgame timing is the same. But super interesting.
Oh, so David's rack was wrong. It looks like he has impinged.
It very much does look like he has impinged. Or impeding. But it's going to be impinged for the points.
So, oh, I know why. Because that shot's upside down, they can't always see the letters properly, so they confuse the G for a Q.
So, sorry about that, guys. We, as you know, are watching the same video essentially that you are. So, we weren't aware of that rack error either. So, what do you guys reckon about Nigel's play there? Looks to me like it must win less times than Voyeur. But he clearly doesn't think so.
David Eldar's got the first bunch of letters for Kabbalah, which would not play on this board.
Well, that's all he's got.
Oh, there's 5. Okay.
Dave emptied the bag.
There you go. So, Kibla would probably get blocked. I think that might be his one spot. Oh, there's Cat as well, but both plays can be blocked fairly easily, it looks like. Zev, it may be that Nigel looked for triples in the pool and just didn't see any, whereas he couldn't have been certain that the 7s weren't there. I mean, keeping EU is self-explanatory in the sense of worrying about potentially drawing the Q. But yeah, it's hard to. I definitely would have gone for Voyeur, but then I can't see all the possibilities in a pool that big all the time.
So I've just run the Zizova search, guys, with the pool that Nigel was looking at, to see how many triples Eldar could have had. And he could have had 9 if I've entered it correctly. They include words like scavenged, clavated, salvaged, sylvatic, spavined. And something like spavined is a rack that, you know, unless Nigel's range finding is absolutely insane, Dave could very plausibly have had. opponent would have scored 176, which I'm not entirely sure what the score differential was, but I'm fairly certain it would have given Dave a healthy lead with Nigel to play in a 7-on-5 endgame.
Yep.
And if Nigel picks the Q with Drac, then he's lost, right?
Seems like it, and yeah, with Vices, he's not blocking either of the Q spots. Just playing through for it must be the maximal spread option.
So it looks, I don't know.
A couple of interesting moves.
You
at
know,
the end.
these moves are so hard to interpret when Nigel makes them. A couple of possibilities. It's actually a play for spread. It's a play for the Q. The UE draw is really nice if you get the Q. And of course he is assuming Dave's not keeping it. So maybe that was what was concerning him. He did not want to face Q UV on his rack, even though he knocked out really the only way Dave could have won. He just thought the chances of a triple-triple were low enough that spread was more important. What do you guys think? Let us know in the chat. That was a pretty interesting play, and a play that I certainly would never have had the courage to make in such a situation.
I would have just gone for what I know would work.
It is true, as Kenji notes, that Nigel could potentially have got the triple-triple himself with quavered or quivered, is what he kept. But wow, I mean, you know, your chance of getting that is way less than the chance that Dave will come back himself and beat you. So I'm going to see if I can get something out of Nigel about that turn. I don't expect that I'll be able to get much.
Probably not.
Especially since he knows full well that I'm relaying what he says back to the chat. It's been a bingo heavy, but very high quality encounter, this first one this morning. And Dave will be a little down after the match, I should think. He knows he's been outdrawn here, and that he was kind of facing pretty difficult odds.
And you know, it's really worth giving him some massive credit here, despite being very cleanly outdrawn. He still scored 445.
Oh yeah,
with one turn to go. So he's done exceptionally well, given facing the not so good end of the tiles here.
So this game is obviously coming to an end, guys. And for those who may not have caught the start of our stream today, there are 6 games being played today, and all 6 will be paired freshly as straight King of the Hill rounds. There's no lag today. That means that we need to wait for every game in the division to finish before pairings can be done. So in the event that Table 1 finishes earlier than some other games, there may be a somewhat longer delay than usual between rounds.
Yeah, I'm going to go see if I can find out what's happened on the other table with Harshan and Esther, because that's going to be an extremely important game. I'll be right back.
Meanwhile, I'll try and avoid dead air somehow while I wait for Jesse.
Talk about swiping.
Jesse wants me to talk Tinder again. I don't think I will. As you guys can see from that shot, Nigel actually took a little more time than usual in that game, down to 18 minutes. I'm not entirely sure which move soaked up most of the time there. I think Voyeur took a little bit, but it was that Mixo play as well, wasn't it, that took a little bit of Nigel's thinking time. And he really played without fear in that game. Mixo did actually almost counterintuitively have a little bit of defensive value to it, but it was really that dive hour move that was absolutely fearless from Nigel. As I say, Ziziva told me that there were 9 triple-triples available. They were scavenged, clavated, canvassed, galvanic, salvaged, sylvatic, andriles, spavined, and leavings. I think that was all that were possible. So that's 9, but among those 9 are very, very high probability racks for Dave to have, which, you know, from as far as I could have thought, would have been consistent with Nigel's range finding. Anyway, we have Jesse back to give us some news.
Both Harshan and Alistair have score sheets that are pretty difficult to read from afar. So I have no news from that game other than they are in their end game at the moment. But Esther just beat Andrew Fisher in a game that both of them needed to win. Andrew needed to go basically perfect today in order to have a shot at winning, so he's officially out of the running. Esther definitely needed to win to keep herself in the hunt. I saw her filling out the slip, so Esther Perrins will be up to 25 wins, and that
keeps her very much in contention.
Yes.
Yeah. And guarantees her a Table 2 match next round, does it not? Yeah.
I believe she'll be in fourth either way.
That's right.
Yeah, she has a higher spread than Harshan if he loses, and then Alistair will leapfrog over if he wins. So
we think the next pairings will be on board 1. It will be a rematch, Eldar versus Richards. On board 2, the winner of Harshan versus Alistair will be taking on Esther Perrins. And with this game all done, I think it's time for us to take a little break.
Yeah, we'll be back shortly. Start time was at 8:30 this morning, so we'll be back in about 12 minutes time to bring you round 41. 41? I can't even count anymore. We'll be back for round 41 very shortly. Thanks, guys. We'll be back soon.